What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. As the WWE prepares for SummerSlam, expect to see the start of some major angles. Join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes the 27th July edition of the Red Brand and looks at the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including SummerSlam at sea, Kairi Sane says goodbye to WWE, why Asuka lost, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. As always, we won't waste your time recapping the matches, but we will take a look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from last night's show. As always, we start off with the good, as number 1, a worthy WWE Championship contender. The WWE started this show off strong with Randy Orton calling out Drew McIntyre and setting the stage for a SummerSlam bout that has that big match feel. Regardless of how you feel about the rumors that Randy Orton is going to walk out of SummerSlam as WWE Champion, Orton vs McIntyre should be a great match. Drew's skills have grown exponentially, whether it's his microphone skills or wrestling ability. As for Orton, he's never looked better and he's clearly invested in his latest run. Number 2, a terrific triple threat. While Raw hasn't been focusing much on their tag teams, last night's triple threat match to determine the Street Profits' next opponent showcased 3 dynamic duos: the Viking Raiders, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, and Andrade and Angel Garza. While Alexander and Ricochet did the job, as they should have, as the Viking Raiders have been losing far too many matches, the WWE presented this as a match that any team could win. It's time for the WWE to put the Raw Tag Team Championship on Andrade and Garza and have the Street Profits chase them for the titles. We should get a number of phenomenal matches out of them. Number 3, Murphy steps up. Buddy Murphy is a superstar who has a lot going for him, including a strong work ethic, good ring fundamentals, and charisma, although he hasn't been able to show off his charisma since his short feud with Roman Reigns in the summer of 2019. Now, Murphy's biggest problem has been that the WWE puts him in feuds with rising stars and established players, then jobs him out, whether it was Aleister Black or Kevin Owens. Now, Murphy's win over Humberto was meaningless, but it was a reminder of all he has to offer the WWE if he can just get a solid push. More important was Murphy following Seth Rollins' command to maim Aleister Black, something he was reluctant to do but eventually followed through on. Pushing Murphy as someone as ruthless as the Monday Night Messiah could solidify his push as a legitimate threat to anyone who faces him. We'd like to see more dastardly deeds carried out at the helm of the Monday Night Messiah, building Murphy up as a solid heel. Number 4, Lashley is back. Now, Bobby Lashley may be nicknamed the Almighty, but his win-loss record doesn't hold up to that nickname. Despite a strong showing against WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, Lashley continues to look good in destroying people in the ring, but also looking bad in failing to score important wins, including title wins. Lashley's win over Ali was a star, and fans will have to wait and see where things go. And number 5, Sasha vs Asuka, another instant classic. Asuka vs Sasha Banks is the type of match that both performers would have to sabotage to make it anything less than an instant classic. Now, although the finish was awful, and we'll get to that later on, the match itself was a reminder of both superstars' talents and why they should have a long feud. But that was the good. What about the bad? Is number 1, breaking Ali's momentum. Ali's loss to Lashley showed the WWE's inability to build stars. Last week saw Ali perform fantastically, scoring a win over the Hurt Business, only for him to look like a chump this week. Even if the WWE has no intention of building Ali up as more than enhancement talent, why not push him for a few weeks with wins over NXT stars? Now, we're certainly glad to see Lashley being built up as an upper card or even main event talent, but don't do it at the expense of a recently returned wrestler with much potential himself. Number 2, Asuka's lousy loss. Champions lose and babyfaces getting cheated out of a title is an important part of the business, but here the WWE failed in 2 ways. Number 1, the match should have been on pay-per-view where it would mean more, and number 2, Sasha should have won clean or with a traditional heel tactic, i.e. foreign object or outside interference. Having Sasha win the title by countout made her lose her heat and weaken the boss character. Though that championship belt certainly does look good on her shoulders. So do the other 3 on the Boss and Hug connection. People are comparing them to the 2-man power trip. Number 3, Drew's dull decision. While fans never get tired of watching an arrogant Dolph Ziggler get his comeuppance, McIntyre's pick of an Extreme Rules match was boring and reflected some serious shortcomings in storytelling. While the endgame was obvious, McIntyre squashing Ziggler and getting ambushed by Orton, the journey there didn't have to be a dull repeat of Extreme Rules. Number 4. No Nia. The WWE must really want The Rock to work WrestleMania 37. Otherwise, how else do you explain the continued push of his cloddish cousin Nia Jax in the women's division? Normally, a Nia Jax vs Shayna Baszler program would be dynamite, but with Jax's record of repeatedly wrecking wrestlers due to her sloppy ring work, why would the WWE put one of its best workers at risk, even if they don't plan on pushing Baszler? The only possibility here is that the WWE figures Baszler can handle herself if Jax gets sloppy and give her a not-so-subtle reminder about the importance of protecting your opponent. Now, there was no downright ugly of last night's Raw. In fact, it was another good show. The Orton vs McIntyre match should be great, and while it needs a little build-up, you can count on both men delivering in the next few weeks. Seth Rollins and Murphy, whose new entrance solidifies his alliance with Rollins, continue to menace the roster, and the WWE has some potentially interesting storylines, including the expansion of the Hurt Business, Andrade and Garza's bid for the Raw tag titles, and Asuka's quest for revenge on Sasha Banks and Bayley. But what did you guys think of Raw? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Hit the intro and let's get into the first story. Now, our first story looks at SummerSlam Sailing Out to Sea. Fans hoping to see SummerSlam somewhere besides the Performance Center may get their wish, as rumors are flying that Vince McMahon wants to hold a show somewhere unique. Inverted commas in the word unique. PW Insider's Mike Johnson is reporting that word has it that the WWE is looking at holding the show at a beach or possibly on a boat, likely a cruise ship. While wrestling shows have taken place on boats and on beaches, it still adds to some fun for SummerSlam. During a recent episode of the Wrestling Observer Live, Bryan Alvarez noted he doesn't want it to be just another SummerSlam in an empty arena with a bunch of fans wearing masks. He wants to do something different, and I'm not sure what it is. I think PW Insider was talking about a bunch of potential different locations, which actually they've done when you think about the Boneyard match or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do, but he wants to do something. We're going to find out very soon what his latest wacky plan is. He wants to do something different from what they've been doing for the last several pay-per-views. Vince McMahon is tired of running shows at the WWE Performance Center, and it's safe to say the WWE Universe is too. While it's good to have wrestling, fans miss the days of screaming crowds, and while a beach or boat event may not have regular fans, it could be a different enough venue to generate interest and take fans' minds off the WWE's inability to run traditional shows. Would you guys like to see the biggest party of the summer on the high seas or at a beach? We think it'd be awesome. Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, why Asuka lost the Raw Women's Championship. Like many aspects of WWE programming, the 27th July Raw wasn't originally supposed to feature Asuka dropping the Raw Women's Championship to Sasha Banks. According to a report on Wrestling Observer Radio, originally Asuka was supposed to defend the title at SummerSlam against whoever injured Kairi, and that was as of last Sunday night or Monday morning of the tapings when they tore it all up. Now the next question becomes whether Asuka will get a rematch at SummerSlam or be put into a different program. The Empress of Tomorrow and the Boss could have a highly entertaining program leading up to SummerSlam, ending up with another rematch, and this time Sasha loses it thanks to Bayley, leading to their program next. Next up, AJ Styles' 3 big goals. It looks like AJ Styles has set some big goals for next year. During a chat with BT Sports, the current Intercontinental Champion listed his 3 goals: beat The Undertaker in a loser leaves town match at SummerSlam, win the Royal Rumble, face Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. To be honest, we like all of those plans. A Styles vs Drew McIntyre match at WrestleMania would be phenomenal, no pun intended, but we're not so sure The Undertaker would be interested in a loser leaves town match at SummerSlam. And finally, Kairi Sane says goodbye to WWE. And last but not least, Kairi Sane has officially left the WWE, and of course, she'll be missed. Sane bid farewell on social media, tweeting a poignant message: "My time in NXT and WWE locker rooms was incredible. Everyone was kind, funny and talented, so every day was full of happiness. Also, I was saved by the supportive staff behind the scenes. I will forever love and respect all these professionals I had the pleasure of working with. I was able to accomplish so much in the last 3 years, but it wasn't because of my ability or my strength. It was because of all the constant warm support from the fans. I'm so thankful I could meet you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Sane's 3-year run in the WWE was a huge success, with her winning the inaugural Mae Young Classic, holding the NXT Women's Championship, and holding the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship for a record-setting reign with Asuka as the Kabuki Warriors. We are certainly going to miss her and hope that she comes back, faces Asuka or Sasha Banks, and wins the Raw Women's Championship. But there you have it, guys. I will look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from the 27th July episode of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.